A strange man in a headband ruined my surprise for my wife.
Let's talk about that.
Good mythical morning!
Thank you for joining us and for making us a part of your daily routine.
Okay, if you watch Good Mythical more, and please do if you don't.
Just click through at the end of the episode.
It's the show after the show.
After the show, it's a show.
I recently told you last week my plans for Valentine's Day, and those were to have an auxiliary input installed in my wife's car stereo. Now, this may not seem too romantic to you, the casual viewer.
No. Whenever I think of romantic things, auxiliary inputs into those things.
Yeah, very romantic.
It seems like romance is a brewing.
My wife really loves music, and she likes to listen to music in the car.
From her phone.
And she wants the music that she's buying on her phone to be accessible. And she hasn't for a couple of years now, and I'm a bad husband for it. But you know, when she went out of town, I was like, I'm gonna get this thing installed, and then I'm going to wrap the cord up, put it into the glove compartment, put a little heart on it, a little paper heart, and then on our Valentine's Day date, when she gets in the car, I'm gonna say, hey baby, open the glove compartment, which is not code for anything. It really is just to open the glove compartment. And then she's gonna open the glove compartment, she's gonna see a heart, she's gonna pull out the heart, it will be attached to a cord, music will play,
and then she's gonna rip out the cord and try to figure out why it's stuck. Break everything.
She's not a moron. So she's gonna see that it's auxiliary input, and she's gonna put it in her phone, and we're gonna play her favorite music. And we're gonna have a great Valentine's Day date. At least that was the plan. The plan was foiled by a moron. And I'm not happy about it, moron, wherever you're at.
And I didn't know about the headband thing that you mentioned at the top.
Headbanded moron.
So it wasn't me, but I was involved. I was party to the events that led to, this is very convoluted.
Okay.
But I have a part to play. My part is the hero, or at least I thought it was. So basically, you know, I'm getting ready to leave the house one morning. I'm gonna come to your house. I'm gonna pick you up, and then we're gonna do the carpool thing like we do every morning.
Yeah, energy efficient.
But lo and behold, a minute before I leave, I get a phone call from Jessie.
That's my wife.
And you guys had traded phones for some reason. I don't even know. There was some technical issues. So I thought it was you calling me from her phone.
Not worth going into.
I thought it was you calling me from her phone. So I'm like, yeah. Like I'm about to walk out the door.
She wasn't happy with that.
It's not you, it's Jessie. And she seems distressed. She's like, I can't get in touch with Rhett. I'm at my gym. I'm actually in the parking lot. I'm having some car trouble. Had a guy who tried to help me. It didn't work out. I just can't get in touch with Rhett. I was wondering, I think it's the battery. I'm like, oh, okay.
Can you come and jump the car?
This is fine. Yeah, I can basically go by the gymnasium, and she's a basketball player. That's how she works out.
Yeah.
And I can bring the jumper cables because I'm that manly, and I can give you the jumper boost or whatever it's called. You can follow.
You're that manly.
We can both go to your house. Rhett can come with me, and then you can go on with your life. And I'm the hero. Everybody's happy.
It seemed pretty simple at the time.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Until I get in the car and show up and realize that this is a lot more complicated than I at first thought it would be. Now, I want to describe the scene and continue with the story, but first, it's time for another winter sports spectacular from YouTube where we create a Southern California version of a winter sport.
You don't have to be able to read if you want to know when to cross the street. It's a simple system. Don't cross when you see the hand. You gotta wait to do your crossing after you see the man.
There he is.
Let's cross. Let's cross. The street. Oh, I lost the ski. No, not a problem. Get out of the street, man. Not a problem.
Okay, so I'm rolling up into the parking lot. I see Jessie standing in an empty space next to her Honda Pilot with the hood raised. Perfect space for me to go in, park right beside her, and hook up the cables, jump off the vehicle. Now, when I get out of the car, I can see on the ground there are jumper cables there that she had.
Ours.
And they don't look right. They have been lit on fire.
Totally melted.
All of the insulation is 100% melted off. It's just little spindly wires with this thing at the end. I mean, it looks like a fire has occurred.
And here's what had happened. Okay, so my wife is at the gym. She doesn't end up going to the gym. She gets on the phone with a girlfriend and they talk for a long time, and she keeps the heat on in the car with the engine off.
Well, she wanted to make it a workout.
This is a mistake, just if you have a car and you do this, because you're running the battery down. She runs the battery down, and then she's like, oh, I need to get somebody to jump the car off. So she approaches a man who is coming out of the gym wearing a headband, and which is apparently not a sign of intelligence, just gonna go ahead and tell you, because the first thing this guy does when he begins to jump the car off is he puts the positive on the negative and the negative on the positive. Now, don't do this also because it could ruin both cars. And the thing that it does is it causes sparks and fire to start and burns the whole jumper cable into the mangled mess that Link saw when he arrived.
She had to run in and get a fire extinguisher, right?
And then another guy who came out of the gym came and kicked the jumper cables off of one of the batteries to stop this devastating thing that was happening to both cars.
Like Chuck Norris.
And then when she gets back out there, Headband Man says, I'm getting out of here before I cause any more trouble. And he gets into his Mercedes and leaves. Also, if you drive a Mercedes, apparently not a sign of intelligence. There's a Headband Man who drives a Mercedes, who goes to my wife's gym, who did some damage to my vehicle. Now, wherever you're at.
This could have blown up the battery.
Yeah.
I mean, this could have been a lot worse than it even was. The fire was put out pretty much immediately. So I show up, and I'm like, well, I hook up my cables correctly, and she tries to start it. It almost starts, but then it won't work. And then all of a sudden I realize there's smoke coming from my car.
Yeah.
And I look over there, and so I'm like, I take it off right quick, and I take off the positive and the negative and go like this, and then the positive terminal just drips away into nothing.
Yeah.
Destroys my cables.
Well, my battery
which you haven't replaced yet.
battery had been compromised by what had happened with the moron. Okay, so this is what goes down. We have AAA, so we end up calling AAA. Now, the reason that I was not on the scene, just so you know, when I got called 7 times by my wife, I was in the shower cleansing myself like I normally do every morning, so that's my excuse. I don't carry my cell phone in the shower yet. Maybe I will now. But that's why Link had to respond. Link wasn't able to do anything.
You wouldn't have done anything.
But it wasn't your fault. It was Moron's fault. And so this guy leaves the scene after he causes the damage. We call AAA. They give her a new battery, and then she comes home. Later that day, she says, "Oh, the stereo's not working. Now that we got a new battery, it says I got to enter a code." And this is what happens if you disconnect an anti-theft device.
That's normal.
So I had to go and get the serial number and put in the code, and then the stereo comes back on, but I can only hear sound coming out of one of the back speakers, and it's just bass. So
that's fine.
As
long as there's a little bass.
If you're really into bass, that's okay.
Right.
But I go online and search forums, because that's what you do when this kind of thing happens. And it turns out that we'd probably blown a fuse when Moron hooked up the battery wrong, and he did some damage to my car.
Yeah.
So we take it to the dealership, and that's when the guy says, your radio is ruined. Your radio is ruined. It's going to be
ruined.
$550 to get the radio replaced.
Whoa.
And that's when my wife calls me and he says, we got to get the radio replaced. And that's when I have to make the decision. And I'm going to tell her about the auxiliary input that is the best Valentine's Day gift ever.
I'm hearing the conversation like, don't tell her. Just you can get it fixed. You can get it fixed and get it, not even, you can still surprise her. And then you told her.
First of all, I'm not going to pay $550 at the dealership to get the radio replaced. I'm going to take it back to the guy who put the auxiliary input in, and I'm going to get a cheaper stereo. But in other words, the bottom line is that it's still not fixed. There's an auxiliary input that's non-functioning that will play bass if you're into just having bass. And so I had to tell my wife this. And so on Valentine's Day, I had nothing but flowers and a card and an auxiliary input that was impotent and did not work. And to even it out, though, she got me a shaving kit that I really didn't enjoy and said that I don't want it. Now, so we're working through this as a couple.
Shave.
Yeah, I
down
shaved
here a
my
little
neck,
bit.
and it was too expensive, and I was like, I would feel bad using this.
I think the problem is the guy. What should we do about this guy?
I want to find this guy.
Well,
I got some ideas. We'll talk about that in Good Mythical More. I have some ideas of how I'm going to track down this guy and have a little conversation.
Thanks for liking and commenting on this video. You know what time it is.
Hi, I'm Annalisa from Los Altos, California, and it's time to spin the wheel of mythicality.
If you like pictures of waffles, we do that every Wednesday, Waffle Wednesday on our Instagram. Make sure you're following us on there if you've got an account.
All right, I clicked through to Good Mythical More where we figure out what we're going to do about this guy. You can weigh in.
Have I been too hard on him? I don't know. Stuck in the South Pole. Let's get out of here.
Huh. 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 Huh.
Having a little trouble.
Oh, I can't. It's my foot. It's my right foot is stuck.
What is this?
It must be.
What is your foot stuck to? My foot's stuck to the same thing. It's a little.
Pole?
It's a pole.
What does it say on it?
Antarctica. That's weird. Unexpected. Somehow we got to the South Pole.
When Verizon asked me to cover the winter sporting events in Russia this year, I said, do I look like I belong in Russia? I mean, Russia is in Russia. Let me tell you something about Russia. It's shrivel up cold out there.